Don't be scared now, but it looks like you just wandered straight into UMind country. That's UMind, short for unaffiliated mind games, and you ain't never gonna be the same again. Brace yourself. It's time for a red hot truth injection. Oh yeah! That's right, bitch. We're rounding up the sheeple and shaking them awake. You mind? Too damn bad. We're gonna set fire to the wool over your eyes. Feel the burn, baby. Hot damn. We're toppling the lies of the lamestream media one by one. Woo-wee! Watch them bad boys fall. Hey, Universe A, this is Universe B calling, and we're gonna tear you a new one. You mind?
Okay, everybody. Hi. It's me, Napoleon Doom, again. And we're here today with a very special guest. His name is BatBook.
Yes, hello.
Hi, BatBook. So, tell me a little bit about being a BatBook. How does one get started doing that?
Well, first you need a itch that you must scratch or
Ah,
want to scratch to solve crime and stop the bad guys from doing bad things.
I
That is
see.
the primary ingredient in wanting to be the Bat Book.
Ah, very nice, very nice. And do you have a heartbreaking origin story?
Oh yes, tragically, my parents were shot by a notebook when I was just a young child.
Wow, how does a notebook operate a gun?
Well, it was a life-sized sentient notebook.
Oh, interesting. That had hands?
Yes, and he held a pretty large 9 millimeter pistol.
Wow, that's, yeah. And he just killed your parents.
Yes, they were walking down a alley called Notebook Alley, which they were
Hmm,
held up at and tragically shot.
I'm very sorry to hear that. So, wow. So, when that happened, I guess a change occurred in you?
Yes, I was very haunted. I surrounded myself by all kinds of books trying to get familiar and vowing to eventually avenge my family.
Against the notebook.
Yes, I was going to get familiar, and to this day, I continue to get familiar with every form of book from text to novel to understand how this sentient book came to be so that I
Mm.
can track it again one day and get my revenge.
Yes, as you should. Uh, wow. So Notebook Alley. I mean, is that a common occurrence in Notebook Alley? Hence the name. Like, there's a lot of sentient notebooks in that area, or is this just kind of a one-time thing? It was just coincidental.
Well, interesting enough, that's actually never come up before. I actually never even checked Notebook Alley again in reference to
Huh.
sentient notebooks roaming around. That would actually probably be a really good place to start.
Yeah, yeah. You figure the name comes from somewhere, but yeah, no, that's not always the case. It's there's a lot of streets in our neighborhood that you wonder how they got their name, but it's probably just somebody goofing around. So yeah, okay. Well, so you I hope I'm not being offensive when I say this, but you look as though you are neither a bat nor a book.
Well, that is just your perception of me
Okay.
that's fooling you. I am clearly just a notebook and
Ah.
nothing more. Yes, I might seem like I have human like features,
Mhm. Mhm.
but pay no mind to those. That's a distraction. I'm merely trying to seem more appealing to the regular standing person.
Oh, okay. I understand. Would that make you a shapeshifter?
No. You're asking way too many questions about my appearance.
Yes.
Is there something particular you would like to know?
You know what? I'm just a jerk. That's all that really is. Um, but yeah. So tell me about the duties of being a bat book.
Well, I patrol the streets, usually on rooftops, and scour the city for crime. Anywhere I see crime, I go down and I stop crime, always expecting to find that one sentient notebook that took the life of my family,
Mm-hmm.
who are totally notebooks too. Yeah, yeah.
They're also notebooks.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Don't look into
Oh.
that too hard.
Well, I mean, I figure you being a notebook, probably you were birthed by a notebook, and that notebook was in turn impregnated by another notebook. That's how it would work, you know?
Yeah, sure, sure,
Yeah, yeah,
totally.
yeah.
Of course.
So, okay, so being a notebook and
Yes.
then declaring vengeance against another notebook.
Yes.
Uh but you choose to dress like a bat as well. And what is the symbology of the bat?
Well, the symbology of the bat is that I am a crime fighter, and
Mhm.
much like previous crime fighters, they need some sort of alter ego. And in order for me to not just be a notebook, I have this bat added persona
Mhm.
so that I might be a little more intimidating for the criminals. I
Yeah.
also have a voice I use, which is something like this when I approach them, so that they might be a little more intimidated and held back, and I catch them just off guard enough
Ah,
to stop them from committing crime and hopefully eventually come across that notebook, that horrible notebook.
terrible. That's very sad. Do you have any idea what kind of notebook it was? Was it one of those composition books that you get in like high school, the black and white ones, or
I'm pretty sure it was some form of a textbook that did
okay.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. There's a lot of textbooks that get abandoned. People in college pay for them and then they never use them again. They sell them to a thrift store. Nobody really wants them, and then they go bad. They go evil, and they wind up shooting other notebooks, I guess. And yeah.
Yeah, yeah, totally. They were notebooks that were shot. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this isn't an isolated incident. I'd take it. That do you think that this notebook has struck again?
I have searched all the news outlets
Mm-hmm.
imaginable and looked at newspapers, and I haven't seen any other instance in which this notebook killed a human family. I mean, notebook family.
Mm-hmm. 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 You know what I've noticed about the lamestream media is they don't want to cover notebook on notebook crime. Nobody ever reports on that. They never really
Yes,
talk
they
about it.
never do.
Mm.
I have never seen a single story related to this incident, and it must have been heard and seen by people in the area. The gunshots were very, very loud. Somebody must have heard something, some report must have made, somebody must have called There must have been cameras, but there's no trace.
No trace. That's devastating because it almost feels like there is a wider cover up going on against the notebook community.
Oh,
Hmm.
fascinating. Conspiracy theory is what you're
Yeah.
telling me.
Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. This is a very human-centric culture, and we interview a lot of people, well, not people, a lot of entities on here who are non-human. And
Yes, yes, definitely not human.
yeah, and yourself, of course, being one, but I found that the culture really just does not embrace non-humans, and we're hoping that this podcast in some way can change that, can some way bring attention to the fact that, we all are deserving of respect as yeah.
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
I highly respect the cause you're trying to move forward here.
Oh, thank you.
For us, for all of us, different creatures, very different, yes, not human, that
Mm,
are of all different walks of life. It
right.
is very good that you provide a platform that we can come and
Mm,
share our thoughts with you and our stories with you.
yeah, that's the goal. Well, okay, so I'm very interested in some of your adventures out on the mean streets of Notebook City.
Yes, yes, I patrol Notebook City.
Mm. And what's a basic night like in Notebook City?
Well, usually
Mm-hmm.
around 7 or 8 p.m.,
Mm-hmm.
I go to the bar and I get blind drunk
Okay.
with a bunch of my fellow notebook
Right.
friends. And then I go outside to the rooftops looking for criminals. around 9 p.m. to about 4 a.m., which is around the time that most crime happens.
Yeah, that's when the criminals are active, right?
Yes, yes. And so I patrol searching for nothing but notebooks. But I always come across quite a couple of humans. I've actually never seen another notebook commit a crime.
Hmm.
And I stopped those, hoping that maybe they have some connection. And I just do that all night. Travel rooftops, get it blind drunk, and travel more rooftops. Completely wasted out of my mind for the sake of staying warm because it's cold on rooftops.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think does your drunkenness perhaps heighten certain senses, allow you to see things that an otherwise sober notebook might not see?
Well, you are hitting the nail on the head. Is that what humans say?
I believe
Yes,
it is,
sure. Why
yes.
not? So, what happens is I get blind drunk and I begin to see visions.
Mm.
And these visions guide me to places where crimes are happening. Usually, humans trying to conceal the fact that they're hiding a crime. Maybe they're walking down alleys with their children completely safe, but I know the truth because my visions are showing me that they are committing crimes and just keeping it a secret. So then I make sure to stop the crime before they manage to flee the scene.
Mm. And what implements do you use to help stop the crime other than the really scary voice?
Oh, well, I walk around with a very large 9 millimeter pistol.
Wow.
And I simply aim it at them and tell them to stop their crime. And if not, it is my duty to rid them of their crime ridden lives.
Hmm.
Usually they do completely stop.
Hmm. Yeah, well, I could see that if I was approached by a drunken notebook dressed like a bat carrying a 9 millimeter gun and yelling at me in a weird voice, I probably would stop what I was doing as well.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, definitely. It
Hmm.
is quite an effective way to stop crime.
Sounds like it. Well, that's excellent. I'm really glad to hear that. Now, your life before the death of your parents, what was that like? And comparatively, how did things change afterwards?
Well, I was a quite young, very successful in school young boy. I mean, notebook.
Notebook.
And I just led a normal notebook kind of life.
Mm-hmm.
I was nothing more than a little notepad at that time.
Oh.
And eventually, as enough of my pages had enough written in them,
Mhm.
I grew up to be more of a compact notebook, useful and more and diverse scenarios. And then the tragedy struck around my early teen human notebook years,
Mm.
and I was very scarred. So I went into seclusion. And in that seclusion, I then decided I must get this vengeance. And so now I just completely have dedicated my existence to finding this crime and fighting the forces of evil.
Well, thank goodness that you do. Thank goodness that you do, because that would be terrible to think that this notebook is still on the loose. And yeah, that's. Are there other notebook criminals that you are aware of at all?
There is not necessarily a notebook criminal. I've never seen another one,
That's what. Yeah.
but there is binder,
Mm.
a binder that roams the city consistently trolling me, and it has become quite a pain. I can never seem to catch that slippery binder.
Is it like a trapper keeper?
Sort of, yes,
Ah.
except he has a lot of technology, has a calculator integrated. It's very frustrating. He can do quite a couple of calculations and plan everything out quite
That's
effectively.
that's horrifying. I know that in high school, you bring this up, and I think about it. So it was a painful incident. I was bit by a trapper keeper. I opened up the rings and then I closed them, and it bit me on the hand. My skin was trapped between its metal teeth. For several months, I was very concerned I would become a binder because of that incident. And that
It's quite
actually,
possible.
yeah, I was lucky. I escaped that. The doctors, again, that sort of anti-notebook conspiracy. The doctors really didn't take it seriously. Nobody seemed to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I believe many doctors are paid off by this elusive notebook that I'm still tracking down.
Mm.
It seems like quite a couple of people might be in his pocket, but I feel like I'm closing in on him, and I agree. There was definitely an anti-binder, anti-notebook, anti-school supply shot they
Yeah,
could have given you.
yeah, I think so. I felt like, you know, I think maybe it's just that they don't want to be liable that it happened on the school grounds. And so if they
Yes,
just
yes.
ignore it and then I just turn it into a binder, they can just stick me on a shelf somewhere and just say, oh,
And they just get away with
yeah,
it. The
exactly.
travesty.
It's horrifying. It's horrifying. And that's why I'm so glad to find that there is somebody like you out there who's actually taking these crimes seriously, because binders and notebooks can be very vicious. No, no offense. I'm sure you're not vicious. Well, I guess you have to be a little vicious, right?
I have to be a
So,
little vicious.
hmm
Yes, yes. And I make sure to be as vicious as necessary against all the criminals I come across. It's a definite necessity.
hmm. Hmm. Now, can you tell us about one of your adventures on the mean streets of Notebook City?
Well, related to the binder
Hmm.
incident, I was once at a party with some of my co
Right.
notebooks, and the binder happened to create this contraption that seems to read your mind.
Hmm.
And one by one, individuals went through this machine just for fun, not knowing that it was the binder secretly implanting suggestive thoughts in their mind through this machine, but only after seeing images of their mind. And luckily for me, when I entered the machine, knowing it was the binder, I knew he wouldn't find anything, because when he put the machine on my head, the only image he saw was notebooks flying around in a dark void. So I was prepared for that. But as soon as I left the machine to say, aha, I caught you, he had already left.
Hmm.
So I destroyed the machine.
Well, it's good that you did that. That was good.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Thank you for that service. Wow, that is a very that's frightening that this binder would have access to that kind of technology. Do you suspect that maybe the binder is involved in some kind of organized crime that's allowing them access to these kinds of to the money at least to get this kind of machine built? Or
I definitely do believe so, because
mm,
at the moment of me destroying the machine, he had somebody already on payroll ready to say they built it instead, and that
uh,
I just destroyed their innovative technology for human advancement, which I know is definitely a lie, as he was trying to control all our minds.
mm-hmm. What do you think the end game is for something like that when they gain control of the mind? I mean, what do they want people ultimately to do, or notebooks ultimately to do under
Well,
their
he
control?
wants to find my secret identity of being bat, a bat. He wants to uncover the mask of the notebook and find the bat, to uncover the bat and find the notebook. That's
Mm.
what he really wants. He wants the world to know that I am just a notebook.
Yeah, yeah. You are very much like a Russian doll. There's layer upon layer to you, and I feel like,
Yes, yes.
yeah, I'm just scratching the surface right here. Um, has anyone ever written inside of you as a notebook, and how did that make you feel?
No, no. Only as a young child, when I was still a pocketbook.
Still a pocketbook.
Yes, yes. Still just a tiny little bit of a notepad, and going to my education was I getting written on. And then when I became a compact notebook, briefly, and then never again, as I sat there and contemplated the future of my revenge.
Mm, mm. And how does that make you feel? Is that a good thing to not be written in, or is that kind of like your own autonomy that nobody writes on you, or do you feel kind of excluded?
I just enjoy not being written in, I would say.
Mm, mm.
I think it's the right way to be, as I have a very private dedication to fighting crime and the forces of evil.
Right, right. There's a lot of humans here who actually will pay a fair amount of money to have somebody write on them and have it stay there permanently. There's parlors dedicated to the art of this. So
Yes. We
yes.
humans are weird. I mean, you humans are weird.
Humans are a strange bunch. I gotta say they're a little on the kooky side. Um, so do you ever resent having to protect humans because of that?
I don't. I
Mm,
just really, really wish I could find this notebook already so I can retire.
mm. Now, can you give us a descriptive of this notebook so that if anybody listening has seen them?
Well, he's about 6 feet tall
Okay.
on average.
Mhm.
And he has quite a couple of pages. If I were to assume, maybe about 8,000 pages to give him a bit of a
Okay.
hefty kind of a 2 to 3 feet width going
It's a
on.
decent sized notebook. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he is quite dangerous, always walking around with his ginormous 9 millimeter gun.
Hmm. Hmm. So he doesn't really make any attempt to conceal. I guess concealed weapons laws and things don't really like have any bearing on notebooks. So
No,
it's
no. I human laws seem to be just dedicated to humans, which I think is completely either the notebooks have bought into this intentionally so that the laws wouldn't apply to them, or people are too scared to apply laws to the notebooks the way they do to the rest of the humans.
there'd just be mass rebellion in the notebook community. So very
Yes, yes.
very
They would
upsetting.
there would be probably an uprising since the
Mm.
notebooks are much more resilient, minus against fire, which is also how I plan to take this notebook once I find him.
Oh, okay, excellent. So you're going to set him on fire.
Yes, yes, after I shoot him with my large 9 millimeter pistol.
Okay, well that sounds like a solid plan to me. So you shoot him to sort of slow him down, and then you set him on fire with a match, or
Oh, I have a flamethrower ready.
oh, excellent. Okay, wow. So you are patrolling the streets with your 9 millimeter and your flamethrower. So that's
Oh,
good.
no, no, no. I don't have the flamethrower with me. I'm going to catch this notebook.
Oh, okay.
Then I'm going to torture this notebook for some time.
Okay.
I'm only shooting him to slow him down and catch him, and then later I'm going to set him ablaze.
Hmm. Hmm. Very nice. Very nice. And can you describe the torture process?
Yes, I'm gonna rip out his pages one by
Oh,
one. Then I'm
it's
gonna set
brutal.
these pages on fire individually in front of him so that he can see it happen.
Hmm.
Then I am going to get him to tell me where his family is. I'm going to find them, then torture them in front of him, which is a sort of meta torture, because
Okay.
the sight of torture will be torture for him.
Hmm.
And then I will set them on fire first, just so that he's horrified enough knowing it's coming for him. Then I'm not going to set him on fire for about a month after that so that he can rest on it all being his fault. And
Hmm.
then finally, I'll set him on fire to relieve him from his pain.
Okay. Okay. So he killed your family, so you're going to kill his family in front, completing the circle. So
Yes,
yeah.
definitely, definitely.
Okay, good. I like that a little more than I like. Say, there's another hero who I is biting your style a little bit. His name is Batman. Are you familiar with him?
I am not Batman.
No, I know you're BatBook. Uh, but
Yes, yes.
I think Batman probably has definitely drawn some inspiration from you, and he has this ongoing rivalry with the man who murdered his parents, and it's led him to fight crime. And but the thing is, it seems like this ongoing process. What are you gonna do when you actually find this person? How are you gonna finish up this story? It's you're just in this continual cycle. Whereas there's a definite end to the days of BatBook, correct?
Yes, yes, definitely. Once I catch this notebook, torture him, and get rid of him forever, I will definitely retire and not do Batman things.
BatBook things.
No, no, no. I'm definitely not going to do Batbook things, but I'm also not going to do Batman
Oh,
things.
okay, good, good. Yeah, yeah, because yeah, I always feel a little sorry for that guy. It's just it's got to be a rough life, you know. It's
But you have to understand this point of view.
yeah, yeah. I guess I do. Now, do you have anybody who helps you in your task, or are you just a solitary creature?
Oh no, I do this completely alone. I do not have a like Batman. I do not have a Robin.
Yeah, it always seems a little foolish to just put a child at risk like that. So hard to call yourself a hero when you're doing something, of that
Hey,
nature.
a little help never hurt anyone, though.
Yeah, yeah. So have you found people sympathetic to your quest when you reveal yourself to them?
Oh no, I don't reveal myself to anybody.
Okay, okay. So should we be blurring out your visage right here?
Hey, if you can do it, definitely, but don't worry, I am fail-safe. Many fail-safes built into my entire persona.
Right, right, right. So okay, because if they just rip off the bat costume, then they'll, yeah,
They'll,
I
they'll just find a notebook under the bat and a bat under the notebook.
and a bat under. Okay, so you are a notebook who dresses like a bat, who dresses like a notebook, who dresses like a bat.
Yes.
Okay, that seems reasonable to me. I mean, yeah. So it's I always there's a scene in the Spider-Man movies where they Spider-Man gets unmasked on the subway, and everybody's just like, "Oh, we won't tell." That's ridiculous. Of course they're gonna tell. They can't wait to post it on Twitter. And with you, that's not gonna ever happen.
No, no, Spider-Man is very foolish.
Yeah, he is a foolish man. And
Yes, he's very pathetic. Very his with superpowers, he's still very, very low grade. It's
mm,
sad.
mm. But now, do you have superpowers like flight or notebook senses or anything like that?
Oh, I can spread my cover
Uh-huh.
and take flight.
Oh, wow. That must be breathtaking to see.
Oh, it's
Majestic.
very majestic, very
Yeah.
majestic.
Just notebooks in flight. I can't even imagine the beauty of such a thing. So
Yes, yes, it's a sight to behold. I hope one day you have the honor of seeing it.
I I hope so too. That sounds truly splendid. Um, so, now can you? Is there any other aspect of your career? Do you have a secret identity? I guess maybe you shouldn't reveal it on the podcast, but don't worry, nobody listens to this.
I am not human.
I know you're not. So yeah, well that's good. I'm glad because I'll be honest with you, being human is really not all it's cracked up to be. There's humans, I gotta say, are yeah not great.
Ha, ha, yes,
Yeah,
they're awful.
yeah. It's the term humane definitely does not apply to humans. It's really a misnomer and but and I'm glad that you don't have to deal with that because I am human passing, so a lot of the humans just believe me to be one of their ilk, and they treat me kind of like, and there's advantages to that, and then there's also just a lot of disadvantages when I reveal myself to be.
Are you a ghost?
It looks like it, but I'm a amaranthine. I'm a oh, it's silly, but I'm a trans-dimensional soul trapped in a human body that can never die as my prison. And then my memory fades every 60 years, and I have to be reprogrammed by those of my ilk who keep tabs on us. And yeah, so pretty much humans are so bad that interdimensional beings send their worst criminals into human bodies so that they'll have to endure humanity for all times.
Sounds atrocious.
It's pretty bad. But I won't remember most of it in a little bit, so that's good. And then I get to do it all again. But yes, so excellent. Now, have you met others who are likewise joining you on this quest to stamp out notebook crime?
No, I've been. Many have tried to fool me into thinking that's the case, but they are definitely working for this notebook that I am tracking, so I have quickly ended them ahead of time.
Hmm. Mm-hmm. So the notebook has legions.
Yes, yes, many of who are human and are trying to pretend to be notebooks to get into my ranks and then try to manipulate me as a simple non-human notebook. But I am not going to be fooled, and I just end their lives immediately.
That's, it seems harsh, but it gets the job done, right?
Yes, the
Yeah,
more I do it, the sooner they stop.
yeah. When in doubt, just kill them.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Well, that's excellent, I guess. And, oh my goodness. So, what's your body count?
We're looking a little upwards of 6,000.
My, that's, oh, and nobody as of yet has really come after you for anything like that. Then they're
Oh no, I am constantly running from the police.
okay. Okay. So that, I guess, stands to reason. Murder is one of those things that people take pretty seriously.
I
Uh
don't even know why when these humans are trying to kill me first.
it's true. It's true. Uh what incidences have you had where you've had to take a human life?
Well, there was there was a car accident. That's a perfect example. There was a
Mhm.
car accident, and the driver of one of the two cars was getting increasingly aggressive with the other, obviously about to take that person's life. So I moved and swiftly took his life instead.
Mm. And you killed the driver.
Yes, yes.
So what happened to the car?
Well, the car was just abandoned.
Oh, okay. So the car is not swerving around on the freeway or
Oh no, there was already a car accident,
oh,
and they were
okay.
arguing after the car
Oh,
accident,
okay.
and one of the two was definitely, because of his increasing anger, going to kill
Ah.
the other.
Okay,
So I
because
made haste and took his life first.
see, I was thinking they were arguing in the car and that resulted in the car accident, but yeah,
No,
but
that's a
no,
different situation that
different
took place as
situation,
well.
different. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. I was just kind of floating
Mm,
above the city, and I saw this car and questioned whether or not that notebook would be in this very car.
mm.
So I landed on top of the car to find the similar situation to what you're talking about. Two individuals in a heated debate, the driver in this case being the more aggressive, and I made sure to swiftly take his life to protect the other person and just left the car.
Okay, okay. Well,
That car flipped over and tragically the other person died, but I take no blame for that.
well,
They could
yeah,
have just
yeah.
taken the steering wheel.
It's true. You just shove that corpse out of the way, and you get down to business. I get they were just
Exactly.
being
But they rather
apathetic.
sit there, scream, and crying rather than jumping into action to save their own lives. So that's more about them than it was about me.
And isn't that what's wrong with our society today? Is like people would rather put a corpse behind the wheel and sit there screaming and wondering what they're going to do as the car speeds into ultimate doom.
That is
And
exactly what I was thinking. It is
yes.
just tragic that they rather sit there in their self pity
Mm,
than get that corpse out of the way and
mm,
steer the car.
yeah, yeah. Ah, that is really just awful. So, do you in any way employ like social media to help you on your quest to find this notebook? Are there any kind of ways that you research? Uh,
I spend a lot of times in libraries
hmm
trying to find the origin of this sentient notebook.
Now, do you find that the other books in these libraries are sympathetic to your cause, or
They are not.
mm,
There's no sympathy from any other. Again, I've not encountered too many of these sentient notebooks.
mm,
So I'm usually coming across humans that are being aggressive
hmm
towards my cause.
hmm, that's really upsetting. I'm really sorry to hear that. Well, I hope that after this interview that people will come to understand the seriousness of your endeavor. And is there anything?
Hopefully, they will.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anything else that you would like our listeners to know about your life and duties as BatBook?
That I am definitely not human. I
Good.
am just a bat notebook.
A Bat Notebook. Yes.
That is the most important thing that I came here to discuss. That I am definitely not a human. I am definitely a BatBook.
Well, yeah, yeah. It's that's so silly because why, if you were a human, would you pretend to be a notebook dressed like a bat, dressed like a notebook dressed like a bat?
Exactly. It's so absurd, isn't it?
It's kind of ridiculous that people would ever jump to that conclusion, but we just have such an accusatory culture these days. Just people always,
Yes,
yeah.
always. They're always looking for some kind of features, maybe about my legs that look incredibly human or my arms that look incredibly human, trying to point out human features like a notebook can't have those features. I've seen it myself. I know. And
Yeah.
I am the perfect example of a sentient notebook that is bad or dresses like one.
Mhm. Mhm. And yeah, hopefully people will come to an understanding that, notebooks don't necessarily look like the stereotypical notebooks you see on TV, people. Yeah.
Exactly. The media knows nothing about anything.
Yeah.
And of course, notebooks are people too. We have feelings too.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I hope that people come to realize that after listening to your story and all that you've been through. That wow, just really heartbreaking. Do you have any uplifting stories that you might like to leave our audience with so that they're just not in tears all night?
Uplifting stories? Well, there's this hilarious story. I was once in a bar having quite a couple of drinks, and then I don't remember the rest of that funny story.
Hmm. Hmm.
But it
Do
was fascinating and very humorous.
you think somebody wants you not to remember?
Yes, I'm definitely sure somebody is constantly spiking my drinks because I tend to go to the same bar nevertheless.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. Ah, perhaps that's the place to look for this binder and his notebook accomplice. So, or
I've
the.
actually searched this bar extensively and
Hmm.
taken several lives in there immediately after having several drinks that I thought were spiked. Usually, it's the bartender who's working for this notebook. They've had to change quite a couple of times. I'm actually banned from there, but I go in anyways.
Wow. Wow. Well, good for you. Just jumping right back up on that horse. That, yeah.
Definitely. Nothing is going to stop me from finding this notebook. And if I have to keep going into this bar where clearly people work for that notebook, and if I have to keep taking their lives until somebody talks, I will do so.
Excellent. Yeah. Do they have karaoke in that bar?
Yes, they do. It's lovely. And they also have pool table and darts.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, yeah, that sounds like a real den of evil there. And,
Yes,
yeah.
packed with it.
Mm hmm. Mm hmm. So, wow. So excellent. I'm glad to know that there's somebody like you out there serving notebook kind and serving your own special brand of vigilante justice, which is really what we need more of in this world, isn't it?
Ha ha ha, you're very welcome.
Thank you. Anything else? Where can people find Bat? I guess you probably don't advertise that, do you?
No,
So,
no, I don't advertise anything, but I definitely do have a friend with something that they are constantly doing. They have a show called the Just Conversation Podcast, and
ah,
it would be great if you guys can tune into that and support him.
Excellent. Okay. So they should definitely support the Just Conversation podcast. And what is that podcast all about for the curious?
It's about exercising thoughts and trying to ground absurd ideas. Unlike myself, I am very not absurd.
No, you are possibly the least absurd guest that we have ever had on this show.
Yes,
So,
and definitely not human.
yes. So, well, excellent. So, guys, definitely check out the Just Conversation podcast and you can exercise your mental prowess. And, BatBook, good luck on your further exploits. And I really hope you catch that notebook. That's my ultimate hope for you, really.
Oh, that is my ultimate hope for myself as well.
Yes, and if people wanted to leave flowers for your parents or anything like that, is there a cemetery, notebook cemetery or something that they would be going to, or?
They are actually buried in a human cemetery by their request.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, so you can find them in a human cemetery just a couple of blocks away from Notebook Alley.
Okay. Very nice. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being with us tonight, BatBook. And wow, just you really are an inspiration.
I am glad I could be.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Okay, everybody. So, bye. Okay, everybody. Well, thanks for listening. Special thanks to Jack Thomas, who portrays BatBook. You can hear him as one of the hosts of the Just Conversation podcast, and you can follow them on all social media at JustConvoPod. Every single social media, that's a good idea. Why don't I do that? I don't know. Anyway, our announcer is Savage C. Walnar, very legendary announcer, and our UMind theme is the Demilitarized Zone by Ethan Meixsell. Amazing job, Ethan, as always. And if you would like to help contribute to the show, patreon.com/lucidnap, or if you can't swing that, buymeacoffee.com/lucidnap. We're also still having our breast cancer art drive at lostbreadcomic.com, and guess what? You can follow us. That would be an amazing thing to do. At all the social medias down in the description below, or if you're on YouTube, you can see them up on the screen. Yeah. Also, I do comics and art. If you're interested in something like that, yeah, you can see all the links for that as well. Mostly, though, I would just like to thank you so much for watching, and special thanks to our Patreons, The Grammarica Show and Nikki Benfield. Again, if you'd like to support the show, you'd like to help us get better equipment, become better podcasters, you can go to patreon.com/lucidnap, or again, buymeacoffee.com/lucidnap. Lucid Nap, it's me, because I read a comic book about my lucid dreams, which ties into my other podcast called Creeping Wave Radio. You should check it out if you haven't done that. It's a good one. The link is also in the description. But if you're liking this one, hey, well, thank you for listening to the crazy madcap adventures of me and whoever I can talk into coming onto this show. But special thanks to our Patreons, really, because we could not do it without you. You guys have given me so much support right since the beginning. And thank you for believing in me and believing that I could do something like this. I know this is a hard pitch, and I'm not the kind of person that normally people want to get behind, but you guys, you did it, and wow, thanks. I'll talk to you later. Bye.